Hello and welcome to another episode of Reading Reddit with Amber. Today I have another batch of outrageous wedding stories for you. Huge shout out to the person who sent in our first story today. This one is intense. It's called, Am I the Jerk for Ruining My Kid's Life After She Ruined a Dress? My ex, who's 31, and I'm a 32-year-old male, had C, who's a 16-year-old female, way too young. We're friendly co-parents. One big rule we share is if our daughter breaks something, she pays for it. Now my sister, who's 27, and I are the only grandkids. Aunt never married. Instead, she worked with Grandma and Grandpa at their seamstress store and took it over when they retired. My sister's girlfriend, who's 29, proposed last year. Grandpa offered to make future sister-in-law a custom suit, which she was over the moon about. Grandma had me ask Sis what her dream wedding dress was and record the convo. Sis, thinking it was just between us, told me in great detail what her dream dress was, though said it was way too expensive, so she would get something much cheaper. Well, a few months later, Grandma surprised Sis with her dream wedding dress. It fit perfectly and everyone cried. Sadly, Grandma recently passed away, which hit us all hard. Sis was devastated, but decided that the dress meant Grandma would still be there with us at the wedding. The issue comes in with C. She's very large, much larger than Sis. 3 days ago, we decided to go visit Sis and see how she was doing. It was great, but then C asked if she could try on the dress. Sis politely said no. C made a face but dropped it. Later, we decided to go grab dinner. Sis and I went to pick up our orders, but C decided to stay and play with Sis's dog. We get back, and the dress was destroyed. C had apparently tried to get it on, popping some seams, and got stuck. Instead of waiting for help, she cut her way out. The dress was hacked to bits. Sis was devastated and asked us to leave. I grounded C and called Aunt with some pictures asking if it could be saved. She said no. She said she'd make a new one, but it wasn't the same. Then she dropped the bomb on me. Grandma had hand-sewn most of the dress, used super expensive fabric, and put almost 500 hours into making that dress, since it was the only family wedding would have. In total, the dress cost $12,000, give or take. C has about $15,000 saved up from various jobs, as well as winning writing competitions. This was supposed to help her in college. I took her to the bank and set in motion transferring all the funds. Since as her parent, I still have control over it. $12,000 to Aunt to pay for the new dress. $3,000 to my sister's wedding as an emotional distress tax. I explained exactly why this was happening to C, but she sobbed the entire time, asking what she was supposed to do for college and saying it wasn't her fault. I told her she could get a job if she didn't get a scholarship, and it was her fault for trying on the dress after she'd been told no, and for not waiting until we got back. A few pop seams could have been fixed. Hacking the dress to pieces couldn't. C told my ex, and while she agreed C was in the wrong after the full story, said I shouldn't have ruined her future for a free dress. I reminded her of our rule, and she still thinks I'm wrong. So am I the jerk here? Edit. Since people are mentioning they don't understand the $3,000, this was to make up to my sister that C destroyed the last gift our dead grandma ever gave her. I consider that part of the price of destroying the dress, since even if Aunt remakes it, it's lost a great deal of its sentimental value. I pointed out how young we had her because I wanted to explain how a 31-year-old has a 16-year-old kid. I do not resent having her. She's the best thing I've ever done. I also brought up C's size because Sis has Crohn's disease and thus is very tiny. The dress was made for her size, and C is much larger than Sis. I love C as she is, but just holding the dress up, it was clear it wouldn't fit. The character count is very limiting. Edit 2. To clarify, the money was C's Have Fun at College money, not her college fund. My ex and I are paying for whatever scholarships don't. When she was asking what she would do for college, she was asking what she'd do for fun to buy things we didn't pay for. Again, the character count is very limiting, so I had to cut the details to post. Edit 3. So I got off the phone with my ex about 20 minutes ago. At some of your suggestions, I sent her the pictures and she freaked. She apparently didn't believe me when I said it had been hacked apart, and believed it was just a few torn seams. She was pretty much on my side after. She told me that she'd spent the day badgering our daughter, asking her why she did what she did, and finally C cracked and said she was mad that Grandma wasn't alive to make her a dress, and that it was unfair my sister got a free beautiful dress as a reminder when my daughter got nothing, despite the many things she was given after the funeral. She tried it on, took it off when the seams popped, and then in anger hacked it apart. If she couldn't have a dress from Grandma, no one could. Her own words. Honestly, Knowing she did it on purpose has just made things worse. The fact that she could be so cruel, that's not the daughter we tried to raise. She will be going to therapy, whether that's in person when local therapists start taking new clients again, or on one of those apps people have mentioned. We need to talk about it more. Her punishment stands as it is, though we're going to see how therapy goes. As for all the seamstresses who have reached out, please know I'm touched by your kindness. I really am. My aunt is going to see if she can incorporate at least some of the fabric from the old dress into the new one. Maybe at least try to save the beading, but if there's anything usable, I'll reach out. I so appreciate all your offers. You're incredibly kind people. I have yet to talk to my sister, but I have talked to her fiancé. Sis isn't doing well. The stress has caused a Crohn's flare-up, so she's stuck in bed. Which honestly, I'm not surprised. Crohn's is often triggered by stressful events, so I was expecting it. I told fiancé about Aunt making a new dress, and she promised to take the remains over to Aunt on Monday. She's thankful for us addressing the issue, but has asked for some space from Sis so she can recover and heal, and hopefully not end up in the hospital. As for the $3,000, we'll see what my sister's state is in a few days. If she has to go to the hospital, then the money is forfeit for medical bills since it was C's selfishness that put her there, so she can pay for it. If Sis does not end up in the hospital, then I'll consider giving it back after she's gone to therapy for a few months if she's accepted what she did wrong and worked to make amends. We'll see what the next few months bring. So, that was a lot. I want to start out by saying that I feel so bad for the poor sister in this. Like, there's literally nothing that anyone can do to make up for losing a dress which was mostly hand-sewn by her late grandmother. I hope the aunt is able to incorporate elements of the original dress into the new one. Reddit says OP is not the jerk, although some people thought he went a little far taking an extra $3,000, which he did end up addressing in the final update. I really hope that therapy helps the daughter, because that sort of destructive behavior is not an appropriate response to grief. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not contributing to my older brother's wedding? The way this post was framed on Reddit, the person put the update at the beginning instead of at the end, so I'm going to start kind of in the middle of the post, and then I'm going to go back and give you the update. A little backstory for setup. I was widowed a little over a year ago. My husband had a substantial life insurance policy as well as a successful business that I have recently sold. I have no financial issues. I can raise my daughter without worry. My older brother proposed to his girlfriend back in January. She's nice and seems to love my brother. We have had no issues in the past. COVID hit, so we haven't done family get-togethers or anything. Their wedding planning has been put on hold until recently. Our state has slowly started opening, no one has been sick, weather has been good, so my dad and stepmom decided to have a family dinner on their outdoor patio to discuss my brother's wedding, with my future sister-in-law's parents in attendance so they could all be on the same page. I tried to dip out because wedding planning isn't my thing, I eloped, but was told my presence was requested by future sister-in-law. My stepmom said she thought I was going to be asked to be a bridesmaid, which would have been a no, but that's beside the point. Dinner was uneventful, but afterwards my future sister-in-law pulls out a 3-ring binder and starts handing out information packets about her wedding. When and where she wanted it, pictures of dresses she was considering, colors, ideas for catering, pictures of cake, everything a well-prepared bride could come up with. My favorite page was a list of expenses, how much she expected everyone to contribute. Her dad, her mom and stepdad, my dad and stepmom, my brother's mom, and me. I said, "You expected me to contribute? That's hilarious." I was met with a stern gaze from my brother. "Oh my God, you're serious? Yeah, that's not happening." Cue the meltdown from the bride-to-be. Her dad speaks up and tells her that she was already told that combined between both him and her mom and stepdad, she would be given $70,000 to do what she wanted, just like they did for her sister. She started crying. My dad chimes in and says, "Yeah, between the 3 of us, we'll pay for a nice rehearsal dinner for like 30 people and an open beer and wine bar at the reception. That's it." She started screaming, like holding her hands over her ears and screaming, "Why is everyone trying to ruin my life?" So I said, "This is where I leave." She stands up and comes to me and gets in my face, telling me how it's all my fault. I have money, so I should be willing to spend it on her because she's going to be family. I just laughed, looked at my brother and said, "Good luck with all that," and walked out. My future sister-in-law blew up my phone for 2 days, calling me names and telling me how awful I am. I haven't talked to my brother, but my dad said the wedding planning has been put on hold while she reevaluates whether she wants to marry into a selfish family. LMAO. I know in my heart I'm not the jerk, but a friend seems to think I should contribute just to keep the peace. Which I don't really care about at this point, and my dad and stepmom agree with me. My other siblings do too, but are staying out of it. Edit. Because people keep asking. On top of the $70,000 her parents were willing to contribute, she wanted $50,000 from my dad and brother's mom, and $30,000 for me. Yes, $150,000 for a wedding. Also, I think she originally had asked her parents for $80,000. Edit 2. This post blew up. I didn't expect it to. I just wanted to show my friend that keeping the peace was not a good idea. Thank you for all your replies. Even the one that called me a narcissist and said I should contribute. My stepmom says she has some things to tell me either tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever we can catch up. So if there's anything to update, I definitely will. To the commenters saying I probably could have been nicer when this happened, I can appreciate that. However, I was taken by surprise and being nice was the firstest thing from my mind. I showed a great deal of restraint because her parents were there and I had never met them before. If they hadn't been, there would have been a lot of cursing. A lot. Also to the ones who messaged me and asked, my daughter was spending some time with my in-laws. She hadn't seen them much since lockdown began except over video chat. If she had been home, I probably wouldn't have gone at all. And now, back to our update. Update. Let me start by saying that I truly appreciate everyone who took the time to comment and message me. You guys are all awesome. So my stepmom wanted to talk to me and she and I had a chat yesterday. The first thing she said was that my brother wanted to get together and talk this out, which we did today. More on that later. My stepmom told me that she and my dad had seen future sister-in-law act like a brat a few times toward my brother, but never anything like that night at dinner. My dad told my brother that what happened was completely ridiculous and that both he and her owed me major apologies. He also let my brother know that he now has apprehensions about my brother getting married to her. And he wanted my brother to really think about what he wanted. And if he decided to marry her anyway, he doesn't know how much of our family would attend. My dad did apologize to me if I felt like he didn't defend me to her. He just said that he was so shocked about what went on that he couldn't react. My dad and I are fine. As for my brother, it's sort of uneventful. We met for lunch at my dad's house today. When I walked in, he tried to hug me, but I wasn't having it. He did apologize. Sincerely, I believe. He told me that he knew about all the wedding stuff she had prepared but not the expense sheet, and that he had told her weeks ago what his parents were willing to pay for, and that she could not ask me for money. When I started laughing, he knew that she didn't listen to him, and he was pissed but didn't want to cause a scene in front of everyone. He went on to say that when they left, he blew up on her and she told him that she couldn't believe he was okay with his family being so selfish, and it escalated from there with her packing a bag and going to a hotel because her parents said she couldn't go to their house. I asked him where they stood now and he just shrugged. I asked if he still wanted to marry her, but before he answered, I said that I didn't care. It was his life and he could do what he wanted, but I, and my daughter whom he adores, would absolutely not be there. And if he did marry her, that our relationship would change forever. I would never ask my dad to choose between us, and I am perfectly capable of being civil to him at family events, but that was it. I did hug him when he left and told him that I hope this all has an outcome he can live with. And I may actually be the jerk now, but I really don't care. I'm okay with how it ended. I don't want an apology from her. She means nothing to me now. I feel like this is over and I can let it go. Thanks again for everyone's input. Reddit says OP is not the jerk, and I agree. Future sister-in-law behaved completely inappropriately here. Demanding any amount of money from anyone for the wedding was unacceptable, but expecting her fiancé's sister to shell out $30,000 is just absurd. She could have had a very nice wedding on the $70,000 her parents were offering her. I hope the brother reconsiders marrying her because this sort of behavior does not bode well for their future. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving it a like or letting me know in the comments. I post new videos twice a week, funny or outrageous ones on Wednesdays and spooky ones on Sunday. Thanks for watching and have a great day.